very, very, kindly. Moshe, give us the sense of what you make of the numbers with regard to Accenture, please.
The numbers in the outlook are kind of in line with what we heard during our recent trip to India. Actually, just came back this weekend, visited a host of public and private companies in the tech-enabled services area. So, a couple things. One, remember we have two buckets that we look at when we're looking at demand trends. One, which is related to kind of running the business. The cost takeout piece remains pretty bullish. This is where you're seeing a very strong pipeline activity and strong booking across the board. The piece that the area that's been kind of weak in the past few years, which is more the discretionary piece, or what we call grow the business. This is where we could start seeing some green shoots here in terms of a pickup in activity, and that's a big deal. That's a big deal because we haven't seen growth there for a couple of years now. So these are all positive signs. GenAI, it'll be interesting to see whether this is going to be the year next year where we're going to start seeing projects running at scale. And this is where we could see another pickup in spending. The companies in the space are very well positioned to benefit here, especially given some of the work that they're doing in data, preparing the infrastructure for enterprises to pretty much be what we call GenAI ready. So there's a lot of work to get done if or when some of those projects get into scale. The other thing that we saw is that the business models will start shifting. Again, in the GenAI environment, we're talking more about fixed price work. And we're also talking about the decoupling of headcount growth from revenue growth. And these are going to be very, very important kind of changes for companies that want to stay relevant in the space in this new kind of upcoming GenAI era.
Okay, Moshe, lots to talk about. Let's focus on the AI segment. The AI segment has done really well. But going ahead, you're not going to be reporting separately on that. What is your take on that? And where do you believe the US IT companies are ranked in the race for AI and the advancement that each company has within that segment? What is your view there?
I would say that it will become very difficult to come out and just say, hey, our GenAI bookings are X, given the fact that the line will get more blurry in terms of the business, just given the fact that you will be using, AI as a productivity tool, as an enhancement tool, and whatever you're going to do anyway. So I kind of get it. But again, the most important thing here is going to be whether some of those projects move from a beta testing to full scale or full production. And this is really what could really move the needle for revenue growth for the industry. I would say, the tier one offshore companies are in great shape to get there, just because they're really reskilling. They're focusing aggressively on this. I would say the industry went through multiple cycles very successfully, and they'll do the same thing here as well. So, you have to focus on your engineering skills. You have to focus on how you're delivering, how you're pricing. All these are going to be very important aspects in this transition phase that we're going through.
Moshe, what do you make of the kind of commentary that's come through from Accenture? They've suggested that deal wins haven't translated, or there's been no change in the environment when it comes to discretionary spending. Your take with regard to that, and when do you see the cycle turn? Really, that's the golden question, right? I think everyone's waiting for that moment, for that inflection point. When do you see that play out?
So some of the digital players last quarter already suggested that growth next year will be better than this year. So that's kind of an indication to us that maybe we're getting through that inflection point. Now, we don't know if growth rate's going to be better by 100 basis points or 300 basis points. That's really the main question, and I think that's what you're asking about. But look, it's all about uncertainty that's impacted discretionary spending. Global uncertainty, political uncertainty, and maybe some of it is gradually going away. We're talking about rate cuts in the U.S. That should also help. But hopefully we'll get to that inflection point starting next year. But again, the big question is going to be the delta. By how much that improvement, we're going to see. Is it going to be significant? Is it mild? No one knows. Accenture stock is up about 15% in the past 3 months. And that's really the indication that we're headed toward that inflection point. Stock today didn't really react much post earnings, just because, again, I think people want to see the numbers. And I'm assuming they'll wait for another quarter until we get a better indication of budgets, spending, discretionary spending, and all that. So at least for now, we're in a stable position. And I would say compared to last year, we're probably in a better position from a sentiment perspective for the space.
And Moshe, how do you look at valuations therefore? Accenture trades at roughly 18 times. You see some of the larger cap Indian IT players trading anything between 21 to 25 times. They're trading at around a 20% discount to their historical averages. What do you make of valuations? And what could the possible upside be? Because if we're close to an inflection point, you could likely see growth kick in, calendar year 2026, which could likely mean that some of the valuations could re-rate fairly quickly. Just trying to get a sense of that as well.
Yeah, so first of all, when you talk about multiples, you have to look at two different things. One, there's a significant PE multiple premium in India for the sector versus the US. So that's number one. Number two, PE multiples or EV to EBITDA multiples maybe a year or 2 years ago were running somewhere in the mid-teens. Now, if you're looking at the publicly traded companies, are running at about 8 to 10 times. So they're down significantly. So there's a lot to catch up if revenue growth comes down or comes back, or if revenue growth really kind of accelerates. So yeah, these are the deltas that we're talking about. But so there are two ways, as I said. One, looking at the P multiple premium in India, and then compare where we were a year and a half, 2 years ago in EV to EBITDA multiples versus now. And we're probably 40-50% down.
Okay, Moshe, thank you so much for joining us this morning and sharing your take on the Accenture earnings as well as overall view on IT. Thanks once again.
Thank you.